Well, but it's
I think, matter of fact, I would even argue that life is more relatable to the average American in the UAE or in Dubai than it is in...
Again, but it's a disingenuous argument.
Why is it disingenuous?
Because I just told you.
You said you can't live there, and I was like, here's another place.
Because it's not typical. I said the entire Middle East. So if so
Bill Maher brought on Andrew Schulz live on the Club Random Podcast, on the Club Random Podcast YouTube channel. And things took a little bit of a turn here when Andrew Schulz said this one specific thing to Bill Maher. And Bill Maher just kind of looked at him like no, and just had to absolutely fire back at him. I mean, Andrew Schulz made a pretty deranged statement that I think a lot of people can disagree on. But let's go ahead and get into this clip here where Bill Maher had to shut down Andrew Schulz when this one thing was said live on the Club Random Podcast, on the Club Random Podcast YouTube channel.
But so there's the Trump administration's right now deporting this guy who's I'd just say a Palestinian rabble-rouser, Columbia University, exactly who you...
Khalil something?
Yes, Khalil something. And he's right on the edge of, like, inciting terrorism. But no, okay, if I was just going by emotions, yes, I think I love it that Trump is throwing this dirtbag out of the country. I will defend him to the death because I'm a free speech guy. You got to be consistent. If I'm always on the right for what they're doing against free speech, which I am, and way always on the left. I mean, you said woke. I don't want to talk about woke. I'm always fucking with the woke. The woke hate me more than anybody for good reason. Because when I stick the knife into them when they deserve it, it goes right to the bone, which it should, because they don't believe in it either. So here's a case where, yes, emotionally, because I'm a supporter of Israel, I would like to see this guy out of the country. No, you can't just throw people out because you don't like their speech.
Especially if you give them or you grant them some form of, I don't know if he had a citizenship, maybe a visa or something like that, but you're essentially giving this...
Green card.
He has a green card. So if he has a green card, you're giving them the opportunities to be an American, exist as an American for this amount of years.
But if you have the green card, you do have the same rights as an American citizen.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right, okay.
So we have to give that person those rights.
You have to.
As annoying as that is.
As annoying as it is.
You probably should have looked into his resume before you gave him the green card.
Because that's always what... And it's very hard to... I would say not more than 20% of the people in this country can you get on that opinion. Everybody else is just always going to go right to defending the speech of the people they like.
Yes, this is what we constantly do. We're hypocrites, but like...
Such hypocrites.
But this is the thing, we have to like... This is where it gets frustrating, these arguments, is like, if we know we're hypocrites, we can't cry about it. We have to meet people where they are.
Correct.
Right? So like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen on Twitter, like everybody's talking about, Israel, and like, it seems like there's waning support in America for Israel.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's say in this segment, both Bill and Andrew, they're discussing the controversy surrounding the Palestinian activist at the Columbia University who is reportedly facing deportation under the Trump administration. Bill admits that emotionally, he supports the idea of removing the individual because of his own strong support for Israel, but he makes it clear, despite his personal feelings, he draws the line at violating free speech. And Bill Maher argues that just because someone says something you don't like, even if it's extreme or offensive, that doesn't mean the government should silence them or kick them out, especially if they're legally in the country with a green card. And I think they both agree, yeah, it's a tough decision. And they also point out that green card holders should have the same rights and protections as citizens, including, the freedom of speech. And I think the conversation also switches to a bigger issue, how most people tend to only defend free speech when it's someone they agree with. And Bill Maher and the others call out that kind of hypocrisy and stress the importance of applying free speech equally, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. And I think this very short clip ends with a reminder that if we truly support the First Amendment, we have to be consistent, not just when it benefits our side.
So here's an example which you hear people say all the time, like obviously the politicians have no clue how to communicate, most of them, and they're just like, well, this is our closest ally. And then you get asked why, and they go, oh, they don't know, because they're just being told that they're the closest ally.
Well, closest ally in the Middle East.
Regardless of what it is. It's like, I think
that's very important. They're the closest ally in the Middle East because they're the only country in the entire Middle East that anyone in this country, these fucking hypocrites, would even survive for a week in. You wouldn't want to live
I don't know if that's true anymore. Like the UAE, I've been to
the
Abu
UAE
Dhabi.
is not the Muslim world. If you're talking about
But they're
Dubai,
in the Middle East. That's what you're talking about.
Okay, but you're talking about a tiny, tiny percentage of what typical life is like in 60 Muslim countries. You're talking about a little enclave that they carved out so Westerners could come and spend their money.
Right.
We're talking about far less than 1% of the way life is like. You would not want to live even in a moderate country like Jordan, and your wife certainly wouldn't enjoy living there.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're making logical points.
Well, these are factual points.
Yeah, sure, they're factual. But,
they are.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's like, I gave you another option that is true.
Well, but it's
I think, matter of fact, I would even argue that life is more relatable to the average American in the UAE or in Dubai than it is in...
Again, but it's a disingenuous argument.
Why is it disingenuous?
Because I just told you.
You said you can't live there, and I was like, here's another place.
Because it's not typical. I said the entire Middle East. So so
if you enjoy content like this, make sure to go ahead and like the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe to the channel. It would help me out a lot. Let's get back to the video.
Here's the thing. All right. If I say you have to move somewhere in America, and I'm going to throw a dart at a map with a blindfold on, and could you survive anywhere else in America where that dart? You absolutely could. You could live in Salt Lake City. You could live anywhere in America. If I throw a dart at a map of the entire, all 60 Muslim majority countries, will you say you'll live there?
I could survive in every single one of them.
You couldn't.
How no?
What?
How could I not? I'm not a gay guy. I could live in any single one of them.
You're in Kabul. Your wife would have to wear a head-to-toe burqa every...
That's on her.
Okay.
You're talking about me surviving. You're like, I could live very comfortably in every single country. Like, again, let's not move the goalposts. You're asking if I could live comfortably.
You could live with yourself knowing that that's how women are treated in your world.
I hate this moral argument. Like, we give a fuck about women around the world. Like, no, but this is like...
Yeah, you said you'd be happy.
This is such a bullshit argument.
This is such a bullshit argument.
No, I didn't say happy. I said I could live. You keep moving the goalposts.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry.
Let's stay on what you say. I could live easily in
Okay.
every single one of the countries outside of the wars that are existing. But you're saying in peacetime?
Easily?
Easily. You live easily.
You could easily live in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Is there war happening? Is the Taliban doing their thing?
No war. No war. So war's over.
War's over? I could kick it in Kabul for a month easy. Enjoying life. Now, am I doing stand-up every night? No. But could I take a little vacation?
I don't know if you're kidding with me.
I'm just telling you, I think that...
I'll give you two options. Either you're kidding or this is stupid.
Well, that's this pretentious ass shit.
It's not pretentious.
You're doing the thing that
it's not pretentious.
You are doing the
that
thing
you could live in Kabul and be happy, or get by, or you could it'd be no big deal.
You're doing this thing that gets.
It's not virtue signaling to say.
I didn't say virtue signaling, but that is, if you don't agree with me, you're dumb. Is why Trump is elected, and this is what Democrats do.
Yeah, but sometimes dumb is dumb.
Yeah, but people are dumb, so deal with that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stop acting like everybody's smart. Like, this is the problem, is like, you have all these people that go to Ivy League schools, and they're like, we know better than everybody else, and we'll just tell you what to do, and you guys are all stupid, and I know you feel like you want this, but you don't really want this, and if you disagree with me, you're an idiot. Then all of a sudden they go, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm voting for that one. It's very simple.
Yeah, that's true too.
Bill Maher is just being honest here. When people say Israel is Americans' closest ally in the Middle East, that's not just some random slogan. It's true. He says most Americans who complain about Israel wouldn't last a week living in Middle Eastern state countries, especially when they care about basic freedoms, like Andrew, for example. I mean, I think that was pretty bizarre. Andrew would even say that, and then let alone say what he said about his wife, too. I'm a fan of Andrew Schultz, but I'm not going to lie. I didn't like that, and just seeing him say that just kind of, I don't know, irked me a little bit. But anyways, someone tries to bring up places like Dubai or the UAE, but Bill shuts that down pretty quick. He points out those places are made for tourists and rich people. They're not how most people in the Muslim world actually live. If you look at the full picture, 60 Muslim majority countries, most of them don't have the kind of freedom we're used to in the West. Then someone says, well, I could live there, just like Andrew Schultz said. And Bill pushes back again, and he's like, really? Could your wife live there? Could you be yourself there? Just surviving isn't the same as living free. Pretending it's no big deal just to win an argument is pretty weak, in my opinion, at least. This isn't about looking down on anyone, it's about facing the truth. Some countries don't offer the same freedoms, especially to women or minorities, and acting like they do just to sound nice or woke is dishonest. Bill's saying, let's stop pretending, stop twisting facts, and have a real conversation instead. Let me know what you guys think about this topic in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next video.